Escape to the metaverse. Better act like you know. Yeah. You are now tuned into the Matthew and Rizzle show. Yeah. Escape to the metaverse. Better act like you know. Yeah. You are now tuned into the Matthew and Rizzle show. Yeah. Escape to the metaverse. Better act like you know. Yeah. You are now tuned into the Matthew and Rizzle show. Yeah. Escape to the metaverse. Better act like you know. Yeah. You are now tuned into the Matthew and Rizzle show. Yeah.
Unfortunately, this episode failed to record, so please enjoy this AI-generated conversation.
I don't know, man. And Nolan's stepping down and replaced by randos. Slow rugs of project, lots of funding, losing interest in moving forward. Frenzies, essentially slow rugged everybody.
Schadenfreude, laughing at people's misfortunes. Kevin Rose, Moonbirds thing, canceling. Proof conference, people dumping Brinkman, Pindar, on-chain art projects, ByteGANs for Pindar, Cloud Poppers by Brinkman, Rizzle Fest.
Got some updates with that.
You lying piece of shit machine, frickin' give it back.
Hi, Robot Dragonite.
Hello.
Welcome back to the Matthew and Rizzle show. It's your regular host. I don't know what to call us, dude. Like, we just talk shit.
Dude, we're media. I
dude,
successfully got I used our fake fame to get a media pass for ETH Denver, and I'm still not 100% positive I'm going to get out there. I'm trying to look into travel details, and it looks like all these hotels are booked. So I should have jumped on it earlier, but almost just as exciting as going to ETH Denver. Shout out Luke from Non-Fungibles, who tipped us off on getting a media pass, and I applied, and they were just like, sure, here's a media pass. And then they're like, we also have like a podcasting room and like a whole bunch of people that if you want to interview them, we'll like line you up. And I'm like, ooh, this is kind of fun. So yeah, man, for future reference, we're something because we get media passes, hosts or whatever we do.
We're media. We're officially media now.
Yeah, we're media.
Like we can just the official media podcast of the metaverse ecosystem, something like that. Some bullshit.
Yeah, I got it. It's in my email. Proof of media.
Boom. There we go. Yeah, man. No, that's super sick. I feel like we should get some fake Matthews and Rizzles just to go there and like take advantage of that media pass. If neither of us will be there to take advantage of it the first time,
right? Send Chat GP Tizzle or something out to ETH Denver to just sort of compile a lot of data and like send it back to us.
Just like a stationary TV on one of those big ass stands that we had back in school back in the day for like Fridays when we watched bullshit movies when the teachers like fucking off hangovers.
Right? Dude, we'll get there at some point, right? It's like, so, Matt, I can't go to the conference, man. Can you take my like Chat GP Tizzle app and it'll just like compile all the information that it knows that I actually care about and then like send it to me in some like filtered version, so I don't even have to like go to these conferences. I can just like, suck up all the information that I care about and like, tap it right into my brain. Neuralink.
Yeah, no, it's coming. It's an inevitability. So that's dope. On that front too, like the positive. Let's start with more positives. It's been really cool to see not a resurgence in like on-chain projects, but just the continuation, because folks that have been focused doing things on chain just keep doing things on chain. Last week, I think we had Brian Brinkman come out with levels.art with his project Cloud Poppers, like totally on chain game that incorporates some of the symbols folks have come to love from the Brian Brinkman universe, which is cool. And then this
is a great idea.
Yeah, it's like a addicting game. Whenever I have a couple seconds, I go in there, try to like beat my super low high score. I suck at it though, so ashamed. But then Pindar von Arman has released ByteGANs yesterday, and it's done over a couple thousand ETH in volume already, and it's totally on chain. You're able to go in, interact with the contract, spit out hash that contains like the actual like GIF image itself. Like there's nothing stored on anything but the blockchain. It's like 100% on-chain art, which is super fucking sick in his ByteGAN style. So scoop one on secondary yesterday. a crypto ghost GAN, which I'm super stoked on. I need to tweet about it right after this, but it's cool to see the artists and folks that have been focused on the bleeding edge continue to innovate and do their shit there.
Yeah, dude, I can't tell if like we've become cool again because it's like the bear market and like the public and like the normies generally just don't care about us as much. And so like I feel, or like maybe there's just not as much noise as there was before, or maybe I've done a good job of filtering it out. But I feel like, you know, the bottom of these markets are always like the best periods of experimentation. And then I feel like the biggest super fans of the space have never left. And they like all love this like on-chain, like, you know, nerdy shit that it sort of gets lost, I think, in the shuffle and the noise when the markets are at its hottest or whatever. So, you know, I love that, man. It's like so exciting to see. I'm not familiar with the second project that you mentioned, but would love to check that out. It reminds me of what Sebi and them were doing with the on-chain stuff from Art Blocks. I forget what it's called. Him and the Arsenic, the Z Blocks team, who've got something else coming out too that's pretty dope. But it's cool, man. I love seeing people continue to push the space forward and see what we can do with on-chain stuff. And then, you know, we were sort of, maybe it was more me than you, throwing some shade at like ordinals last week or whatever, just in terms of being a experiment that I wasn't like super interested in. But like, again, man, with that like spirit of experimentation, like I'm down with that. And I feel like I see like Celebel going hard in the ordinals and everything. And again, haven't like dipped my foot too much into it, but I'm like, here we are again, where there's not a huge amount of people really diving headfirst into this tech, and the ones who are tinkering and experimenting and like doing weird things because I think we had a podcast titled like we got nothing to lose at this point, like at the bottom of the market, and it's such a good vibe, man. It's a shame everyone's not getting like stupid rich off of like rando PFPs constantly, but it is fun to sort of get back to basics, it seems like, and be like, oh, you were able to put that on chain, let's see if we can put this on chain, you know, that kind of thing. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, especially because a lot of people have jumped in, and then I guess when you spend thousands of dollars on visual objects, you're like, hold on, like, what did I just buy? And people are realizing that a lot of it, I mean, it's more or less secure and future-proof, but there are obviously historical examples that show like, well, projects do fail, and if they don't bake in like multiple points of redundancy and they don't do the proper work to make sure that the image files and everything are retrievable after the life of a project, then it's like shit dies and you get like 404 errors and like null images and stuff like that. So doing that research, you're like, oh shit, there's this whole subset of crypto art and like crypto collectibles, digital collectibles, like that are focused on doing things on chain to kind of, because they've already baked in that possibility that centralized projects or any project can fail. And they're like, oh shit, well, you can buy this, and something like ByteGANs by Pindar is just like, you don't need any project for that to be retrievable or viewable. It's just as long as the Ethereum network is still around and kicking, like you can get your art from the blockchain, which is just so fucking cool, man. It's, I don't know why it's such a geek level kind of reaction, nerd level reaction, but there's something really special knowing that shit will be around as long as the entire Ethereum blockchain will be. Yeah.
You know, this is something that you just said reminded me, man. I was just thinking about this earlier today, and we were in the thing last week, or was it 2 weeks ago, with Boombox Head and Jen when we had the whip with them, and the Super Yetis showed up and everything, and it just got me thinking about like the strange things that did survive the last bull run and everything, and the tons and tons of things that did not survive. And I keep thinking about like Kevin from like fucking Dumb Project or whatever, and like the Super Yetis keep managing. They've like almost been memed into like, you know, our permanent metaverse consciousness or whatever. And it's really interesting to like be on the backside of this like massive bull run and all of the projects that everyone thought had legs, and now like seeing what is still actually like in the mix regularly, I'm like, God damn, the Super Yetis. I don't know enough about like what the project itself is up to, but again, it's like one of those things from like Kevin, and that project is slipping me for a second, but I'm like, it's so funny, man. Some of like the worst things that we came across are actually like still the ones here.
Well, yeah, I mean, but they're so bad that it's hard to totally forget, right? Like the Kevin meme, I've been seeing multiple recent derivatives. I think we may be coming up on like the anniversary of that ridiculous like multi tens of $1 million drop that project, whatever it was, did before they unveiled that horrendous art and then like rugged the whole space. There is something there, like as long as the meme is alive, the project is not truly dead, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, you can see the value of the actual, like the whole project is down pretty bad. You see, like we were just talking about this before we quote unquote officially started recording, but like the Proof Collective, their main PFP project, Moonbirds, was down pretty bad, even though they're still holding like a 6-ish ETH floor, which is pretty absurd. The fact that like Kevin Rose was like, hey, we're canceling our previously announced Proof Collective in real life conference, like another just like sudden jolt to that community who had already been previously jolted by Kevin's like seemingly off the cuff announcement that Moonbirds was going full CC0 without consulting any of the collectors who did not think that was the case when they were spending like minimum 30 ETH on some of these like the owl PFP works. I don't want to call it like that.
Sure.
But like it's sort of sending that project into a tailspin. And who knows like where the floor ultimately falls. Like maybe it's not even, maybe this is the floor, right? It's really interesting to see how these projects move forward, and some of them really do like just keep hitting stumbling blocks. Many of them set up by themselves, others just like we thought they were dead, but the meme keeps it alive, and the collectors come in and give it like the second round of life, which is something I've always looked out for. I mean, art, collectibles, whatever in this space, I think there's like a Latinate expression like police verso, butchering the original Latin, will die many deaths when I pass away. And Marcus Aurelius will be like, fuck, you're fucking terrible, or whatever. But you know, like from Gladiator, there's like that thumb in the middle, and then you either like go up or you like get thumbs down, and then you get slaughtered in the arena. Like all projects in this space kind of go through there. Like they go make it through their first round, but then they either like fall down and like are sent to zero and everyone forgets them, or they're given like a second life. And like Kevin, I guess the meme is giving them that second life versus a project like Moonbirds, which now everyone is like thinking it's going all the way down and it's a thumbs down or something. But
it's the whole like, again, man, being on this side of like, you know, history and the ups and downs of the whole industry over the past like several years, it becoming an industry over the past several years. It's really, I forget who I was talking to the other day. It might have been Easy. And just saying like, you know, all of this, just sort of observing from the sidelines and in being in the mix and everything really underscores that like none of these people really know what the fuck they're doing. And like even the projects that come out with this roadmap, like it all sounds good when the roadmap comes out, but like no one's really prepared for the market and the unpredictability of it, especially the people who came in the midst of it all that had these like grand plans and sort of like built these grand plans around stuff that had worked for them in the Web 2 industry. And now like on the other side of things, I feel like we're really seeing people like floundering around in like a whole new context or whatever. And it's similar in some respects to what we started off this conversation talking about, like sort of, you know, some of these artists and creators getting back to your grassroots and tinkering around with the tech and like throwing some stuff at the wall and just sort of seeing what we can do. But I feel like with some of these large bankroll projects, we're seeing that like rapid experimentation also playing out in real time, but it like doesn't look so good when, you know, you've sort of cultivated all these investors and made all these promises and have these people on your team that have led people to believe just by their presence alone that like big things are going to happen, or like this is going to go somewhere or whatever, and then like Moonbirds is a great example. They just sort of keep randomly pivoting or whatever now that whatever they seem to not really know what to do. And I don't think anyone does, and I feel like some of the projects that actually lean into that they don't know what to do, but are sort of allow themselves to pivot and sort of roll with the, constantly evolving landscape and everything are much better set up for the long run than some of these projects that just take in like so much money and then have it. And then, well, Frenzies is an example, which is not even a project that was on my radar really until very recently when I found out that they're doing something similar. They raised like $5 million or something, and then are basically, my understanding, don't directly quote me on this, but my understanding from the scrolling I did and just trying to get the gist of what's going on is they're basically just like, we're done. We're putting the project on pause, which again, to me says like, they don't know what they're doing. Like, and whoever is behind that project probably doesn't know what they're doing. And I don't, again, circling back to my original thought, I don't think any of us really do, which inherently makes me trust the people who I know have been here for a long time, who I think we all sort of got like steamrolled by like the big quote unquote experts coming in with their big bankrolls and, corporations they've started and projects they've launched in like different spheres and everything. And it made me pause too, for a second, like, hey, am I really the expert around here? But I feel like when the dust is settled, it turns out, yeah, we are. Like they don't know what they're doing, man.
No, I mean, no one knows what they're doing. Blanket statement, yeah, that's super true. But there's certain people that navigate not knowing what they're doing so much better than others.
That's well said. Yeah,
I think that like sticking with the Moonbirds example, that's something the project and the folks behind it, they never imagined it would go so big so quickly at first, right? And I think they were thinking that it would be probably like the reverse Dutch auction would mint out super low. They didn't think it would mint out at like 2.5 ETH. They didn't think that it would shoot up from there to like 30, 40 ETH for a floor Moonbird. And as soon as that happened, then you have like the fucking asshats like Ryan Carson jumping in, like saying all this shit. And then like layering and all these things like, oh, we're going to do so much now. And, like shooting from the hip, but going really big. Right.
Yeah.
And like setting expectations ridiculously high. And then only like belatedly coming back and saying like, well, actually, we need to walk everything back and rethink what we're doing and give us a couple more weeks and we'll like update everyone, which is where they're at now. It's amateur hour. Versus like Polygon, this is also in the news. Matic / Polygon reduced headcount by 20%, cut like 100 folks from their team, consolidating around Polygon Labs. A lot of folks throwing FUD at Polygon. They're like, where's the activity? Blah, blah, blah. But they've been like steadily building over the past number of years. They're flush, right? They have in dollars, like $250 million there. They have like 1.9 billion Matic, which is like nearly like over $2 billion in Matic alone in their treasury. They have a super solid team. All the people I know working over there are like top class. They have the biggest names in the Web2 space going over there and doing things that are like kind of interesting. Like Starbucks Odyssey is actually probably the best use case for normie like reward program meets NFTs. And for them to be at a point where everything seemed to be clicking, right? Projects joining them, however they're acquiring these projects and building things that are actually working. For them to then quickly say, okay, we need to scale down, let's focus more on the mission, onboarding more of these projects, more actual users, blah, blah, blah. That screams to me like, yeah, you're sticking with what you've always said you've been trying to do since day one, like years ago, before they had that rebrand to Polygon. Trying to onboard people, into the Web3 ecosystem using big names, trying to get people to come in and not have to spend an arm and a leg to transact, and they do things in crypto. No one knows what we're really doing. No one knows what's coming next week, the month after, the year after. But certain projects just have a way of sticking with what they already said that they're doing versus going all over the place.
Yeah, dude. I love Polygon. I'm a big fan of Polygon in general. I do, and I use it on a daily basis because I tinker around with my little Avogacci and I pet it, and it's like farming things and everything in the Avogacci land and everything. And that's always, been a fascinating project to me, and I love their team. I have scaling concerns with Polygon, honestly, man. Over the past few months or so, gas is minimal to interact with the Polygon contract, but it has 5 or 8x'd just over the past couple months or so. And I have not been paying attention enough to about what's going on the back end to figure out
There's a project called Lens. There's a project called Lens, and I think they're using 25% of the blockchain.
Oh, I know Lens.
Yeah, I fucking hate Lens because they won't let me onto their platform using my crypto history. Trying to log in with everything that I've done as Nifty Time.eth. They're like, sorry, you don't meet our standards to get onboarded to a new crypto social project. I'm like, fuck you, dude.
Oh, dude, that's really funny.
The original one. Anyway, whatever.
Dude, I got a funny story about Lens, actually. Shout out Binks for helping me out here because a few people have been really trying to get me onto Lens, and I'm always interested in tinkering around with things. So I was like, fine, I'll check out Lens or whatever. But I couldn't get Rizzle.lens because they had reserved Rizzle.lens or whatever. So I had to hit up all these people to get Rizzle.lens unlocked because I'm like, who else did they lock it for? Besides what other Rizzles out there, right? Yeah. So, and I was like, I think we had them on the whip or the podcast or something a long time ago. I was like, so that's probably what happened, right? I said I was going to sign up and they reserved it for me, whatever. Anyway, took me 2 weeks to finally get Rizzle.lens unlocked with the help of Binks. She was advocating for me and everything. And I haven't gotten a chance to explore it yet. But as soon as I claimed my handle, I started getting offers on Rizzle.lens. And I have a 0.06 offer or something on Rizzle.lens now. I'm like, who is this other Rizzle or who wants my handle or whatever? I don't know. It's the strangest thing. So anyway, beware of fake Rizzles out there. There's someone trying to claim my Rizzle lens handle, but I'm not selling it unless the offer gets way better. No, I'm just kidding. But a lot of people are very bullish on Lens, and I had heard that they're sucking up a lot of the bandwidth on the blockchain and everything. But that concerns me, right? I'm like, are we in this constant situation where we're just inevitably running into scaling situations with any of these blockchains? And was thinking about that over the weekend too. And I'm like, do we just eventually end up in this situation where everything's a hybrid, or not necessarily a hybrid, but we just have a dozen layer twos, and you know what I mean? And these kind of things, because there's just no surmountable way of solving this scaling situation that I feel every blockchain, whether you like it or not, when that happens, they all grind to a halt, or that's an exaggeration, but or the gas prices go through the roof, or it becomes unusable for the average person. And I'm like, this sucks.
Yeah. I mean, it's so hard to predict. Obviously, there needs to be some changes with Lens so that, or Polygon needs to do something so that it's not increasing the Matic fees for the regular user because of one project. How it's architected is just sucking up all the resources. Something needs to change there, but that's something that's what they're there for. Both projects and the layer 2 infrastructure itself needs to sort that out. If they don't, then it's open season, and every other upstart layer 2 or new layer 1's gonna be no, we're a better solution, we're gonna go back into the same thing. Once they get a critical mass of users, then maybe all their theoretical assumptions about how their bandwidth is scalable will just be shown to be not the case, which seems to be what happens inevitably for everything that's claims to be a scalable solution. But I have full faith in the Matic Polygon team to work something out. and hopefully get Lens sorted. Also, if I can get hooked up with a Lens account, maybe I will hate it less. But until then, fuck Lens.
I'll sell you my Rizzle.lens account for 0.08. No, just playing. Yeah, dude, I have nothing but respect for the team, and you know, like you were saying, man, we're all sort of like no one knows anything, and we're all sort of in uncharted territory trying to figure out the solutions to this thing. And I do have the utmost faith in that squad as much as anybody, and they have been here since the very beginning, like putting in the work and you know, we're trying hard. So hopefully, man, that gets sorted out at some point. I do want to flex on the proof event though, or whatever, the conference, because my conference is happening and I did not sell any fucking Moonbirds or anything remotely, it's not quite to scale, but I'm pretty stoked, dude, that Rizzlefest is actually happening in real life. If people who are listening aren't familiar with what's going on, I actually launched like a cryptic tweet maybe almost a year ago now that was like, when I was tired of the conferences, I'm like, what if we just did like an anti-conference and we just get like the same dope group of people and we just go camping in the woods for a weekend and call it Rizzlefest, and we just all kick it and have a good time and, you know, sort of facilitate the conversations that everyone's going to the conferences for anyway. And we did it, man. I'm proud to say that you're coming. I'm dragging your ass there, and a bunch of our people, man, like signed up, and the pre-sale was a success to the extent that we were able to book the camp and book the Magic Unicorn bus for a stage and airport transportation, which I'll mention in a second. But we sold enough tickets, got enough people coming to pull it off to the extent that we're comfortable that we can pull off like a really dope event. So now we're like sort of in the bonus round in terms of like the public sale, where that any public sales we do essentially enhance the event from what it is now. But we got the basic main ingredients for like a dope anti-conference in the woods in Tennessee from April 20th to the 23rd. And a bunch of people who are probably familiar with from listening to this podcast also going. And dude, I think I told you about the Magic Unicorn bus, but I don't think you got on it at NFT NYC. Is that correct? I think like somehow we lost each other when that was going on.
Yeah, I think that was at that big ass. What was the
Dreamverse?
Dreamverse.
Yeah.
No. I was all over the place that night, and y'all hopped on it, and I like saw Twitter the next day and like the rap session.
Yes. So, dude, I managed to, with the help of Lucy Rhymes, I tracked down the Magic Unicorn bus. I hit up Happy Raps, Anna, and she knows the lady who drives the Magic Unicorn bus. And for anyone who has no idea what the hell I'm talking about, the Magic Unicorn bus is like a 12-passenger ridiculous bus with a giant unicorn horn on the front of it, and we drove it around Times Square with a bunch of people from Cypher who were freestyling on the soundstage that they have on top of the bus. So I managed to track down the bus, get them to bring the bus down to Tennessee, and for anyone who's coming to Rizzlefest, it'll pick them up at the airport and will also double as our sound stage for the weekend for anyone who wants to perform or speak or like do a thing. It's going to have to be from the top of the Magic Unicorn bus. And I'm just like, oh my God, this is so perfect. I'm like so happy to have this as like sort of like the ridiculous centerpiece of Rizzlefest. So I'm stoked, man. It's sort of been like a long time in the making. And I'm also sort of relieved that all the big pieces are in place. And now we get to just go into the woods and have fun on April 20th.
Dude, so stoked for that. Like less than 2 months away now, which is kind of crazy to think about. But yeah. I've never been to Tennessee either, so it's like a perfect excuse to get me there. It's gonna be fun, man. I can't wait. I haven't done outdoor shit in a long time either, so checks a lot of boxes for me. And yeah, just amazing to get that off the ground. It's gonna be real fun. I know you got to dip, but real quick, everyone listening, like make sure you come out to the whip. Thursday, 12 p.m. Pacific, we got Neon Glitch, Eclectic Method, the Flat Frogs team coming through. They have a new X-Copy toy launch they're going to be talking about. Eclectic Method will be there, of course, for the pre-whip DJ set. We're going to be hanging out at the X-Copy bar. And we have Cliff from the Avastars project, formerly, talking about a brand new project, I think with a co-founder. So looking forward to that.
Yeah. Should be a dope one as always, and I think we're gonna try and host it in the X-Copy bar in Mooniverse, but still sort of throwing the details together on that one. But that's a solid crew anyway you cut it. So pretty stoked.
Cool. I'm gonna try to save this and hopefully it's fucking recorded. So let's watch this.